It literally looks like a puppet. Like they dangle and it's like, say this, okay, and then they like pull us back, and then I said it. I don't know how much more I can say.
Welcome to the Dark Times channel. This is going to be a continuation of the ongoing situation with Kyrie Irving. And this time we have none other than New York City legendary, iconic figure, NBA superstar Stephon Marbury coming to the defense of Kyrie Irving. And for those of you that are not familiar with Stephon Marbury and you're a basketball fan, you should be ashamed of yourself. I'll just say that. But in all seriousness, Stephon Marbury really needs no introduction. And some of you guys may be familiar with the movie He's Got Game, going to be starring Ray Allen and Denzel Washington.
Where you at, boy? Jake, just talk. Come on, give a guy a break, man. Come on, go strong, Jesus. Why you cheat, man?
I cheat.
Don't tell me how to raise my son, man.
Stop pushing me.
Some of you may or may not know, but that movie was pretty much Stephon Marbury's life to a T, and at least his upbringing and being a product of Coney Island and growing up in the projects. Spike Lee pretty much copied Stephon Marbury's life and turned it into a script. You know, it is very interesting that Stephon Marbury has come to Kyrie Irving's defense, because it's really not the first time that he's done so. Last year when Kyrie Irving was going through the whole jab situation in New York, it was Stephon Marbury that was speaking up for him. And so like I said, Stephon Marbury is not one of those guys that, you know, is going to mix his words. He's always going to speak his mind. He's always going to speak from the heart. He's not afraid from nobody. He's had public beefs with LeBron. He's had public beefs with Jay-Z. And I can't even say it's a public beef. I'll just say he spoke his mind publicly about those individuals and didn't hold back.
I look at Jay-Z and I say, wow, here you are trying to be something that you're not. You're not an advocate for black people. You sold drugs to black people and you rapped about it and talked about it. How did you do that? Like, I'm trying to figure that part out. Like, you can't make that right. This ain't snitching. This ain't telling on nobody. You told on yourself already. Like, you already told people what it is that you do and how you do it and how you feel about what you're doing. So how you rap about something that you did, I'm confused. I don't know. But people ask me, why you always talk about Jay-Z? Why you always say something about LeBron? I'm like, they two are the same. They together. They friends. You sold drugs to people where you from, Jay-Z, and Brooklyn, and Marcy. You got them on crack. You got them on whatever it is, cocaine, whatever it is that you were selling to them. Whatever you say you cooking up, whatever you was cooking up, that's what you did. So now you got your people high, you got your people, you sold drugs to people women that were pregnant.
He was one of the first guys that was actually using YouTube as a marketing tool. You know, he was going through a level of depression. He had lost his father. He was going through some issues with the Knicks, wound up being released by the Knicks, and he went to YouTube to kind of vent and kind of get some stuff off his chest.
So look, I got a sore throat, right? So my man, my little brother Hassan, he told me that his grandmother, who's almost 100 years old, told him, when you can't get your voice back, take some Vaseline and swallow it. And it'll help you. We're from the old school.
And a lot of people like to point to this video as to the reason why Stephon Marbury was blackballed. This video, in my opinion, had very little to do with why Stephon Marbury was blackballed. Because Stephon Marbury could still give you 20 and 10 in his sleep, and was still doing so in China, I believe, up until about 2 years ago, even at the age of 41, 42. And so, like I said, that had very little to do with this video or him eating Vaseline or anything like that. You know, to me, Stephon Marbury is the Floyd Mayweather of basketball. He's an unapologetic black man that played the sport and didn't let the sport play him. You know, it didn't matter where Stephon played the game. It didn't matter if he was playing in the NBA. It didn't matter if he was playing in China. As long as he was happy, as long as he was in control of himself and he was in control of his being, and he was able to provide for his family, that's all he cared about. He didn't care about the limelight. If he would have cared about the limelight, he would have stayed here and begged to get on with a team. But he didn't do that. Like I said, Stephon Marbury was a trailblazer. He was somebody that was well beyond his time. He was the first person that I can remember that started playing basketball in China. There may have been another basketball player or an athlete playing in China, but he was definitely the most talented basketball player to take his talents to China. And he didn't just play basketball in China. He became one of the most beloved and iconic figures throughout China. You're talking about a black man in a foreign country that has his own statue. He just retired from playing Chinese basketball a few years ago. And when he retired, you had grown Chinese people crying over his retiring. He was crying. Like I said, he was probably one of the most beloved figures to ever play in China. You know, your average human being doesn't get that kind of love and adoration in a country, let alone a country that's not even his to begin with, unless there's something going on behind the curtain. And like I said, a lot of people like to point to that YouTube video as to the reason why Stephon Marbury was blackballed from the NBA. But to me, like I said, that's got very little to do with it. The main reason why Stephon Marbury was blackballed from the NBA is because he was a high-level thinker. He's definitely not one of those athletes that was going to go along to get along. Like I said, he was a trailblazer before his time. During his time with the Knicks, I believe during the 98 season, he launched his own shoes. It was called Starburys. A lot of you maybe remember that. You know, I would say growing up, you know, a lot of people kind of laughed at it. I remember playing basketball during those years and, you know, and people laughing at the idea of the Starburys because it wasn't connected to Nike or it wasn't connected to Adidas or anything like that. So, you know, just being a kid, I remember other kids kind of laughing at the thought. But to Nike and to Adidas and to some of these other companies, it was definitely no laughing matter. You're talking about one of the most electrifying point guards, one of the most exciting point guards to play in the NBA, launching his own shoe brand. And he wore it the whole season. It was called the Starbury 1. And the main issue that they had with it, it wasn't the fact that he just launched his own shoe, but it was the fact that he was only charging $9.98. That was the problem. In this capitalistic world that we live in, especially in the United States, that's a threat. That's a major threat. And so what they did is they labeled him crazy.
He was eating Vaseline, literally on video, like it was a bunch of cheeseburgers or something, like gobbling Vaseline, crying. He later admitted he was depressed.
Oh my God. I'm not crazy. I'm out of my mind. All right? So don't use that word, yo, he's crazy. No, say he's out of his mind. That's better. That's a better way of how you want to look at it, all right?
And so what they did is they labeled him crazy. And the New York Knicks wound up cutting him. I won't say they cut him. They actually bought out his contract for the full amount. He was owed something like $19 million, and I believe he got all of it. That's unheard of from a buyout. Usually when you do a buyout, you come to some kind of agreement where a player maybe get half that amount or a good portion of that amount. But during a buyout, like I said, that's highly unusual where a player gets the full amount. So like I said, it wasn't about Stephon Marbury. Definitely wasn't about his talent, or it wasn't about his depression that it was going through. It was the fact that he was a trailblazer, thinking outside the box. Like I said, a high-level thinker. The audacity to launch his own shoe and only charging $9.98. You know, basically he was going to be undercutting Nike and Adidas and some of these other companies. And they definitely couldn't have that, especially when they were charging 90% more for the same quality of shoe. That was the main issue. And so like I said, Stephon Marbury could have retired. He could have hung him up. He made close to $200 million during his 10 years playing in the NBA. He could have easily, you know, moved on to something else. but he loved the game. So he continued playing basketball, and he went to China. And like I said, he became a legend. So just recently, Stephon Marbury decided to take some time out of his day and chime in on the whole Kyrie Irving situation. I'm going to go ahead and let the clip play, and then I'll come back and chime in.
I find it very interesting that people are mad about saying something positive about Kyrie Irving. I know the narrative is supposed to be break him down. He doesn't deserve, take his money, all of these different gestures that people are making. But why? Because the earth is flat? Because of that comment? Or because of a post with no caption? No, we're not gonna condemn him. We're not going to try to make him feel bad and cancel him out, and all that's not happening. But what will happen is we will continue to push the Wizard of Ball. Please stop worrying about what I post on my page. It's my page, it's my crib, it's my house. You can do what you want to do on your page inside your house, and I can do what I want to do on my page in my house. Okay?
And so shout out to Stephon Marbury. He's definitely got them chopsticks down. My man seems like he's been in China for about 20 years now. He's working them chopsticks. So shout out to Stephon Marbury taking time out of his day to chime in on what's going on here in the United States. Stephon Marbury, he's still doing his thing. I believe he owns a few subway trains in China. He owns an arena football league in China. He's coaching one of the basketball teams in China. So he's still got a lot going on. So definitely didn't have to take time out of his day to chime in on what's going on here in the United States. But shout out to him for doing so. May the ancestors surround him, protect him, and continue to bless him. And that's all I had on this one. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys next time. Peace and chaos.